Hi, this is Kimberly Reuter, business advisor and supply chain expert, and welcome to my podcast, The Morning Mood. We are continuing our conversation with Kerry Morris and talking about how she built private label at Amazon. We are on episode 3, and we are talking about how Kerry took it from a concept, a few SKUs, to an actual scalable business. Kerry, tell us more.
Good morning, Kimberly. Great to be
Morning.
here today to
Thank
continue talking
you.
about this topic that I'm very passionate about. We
Hmm.
touched the last two episodes on critical inputs and outputs. And I would say that at this stage, when you're beginning to ramp and really scale your business model and your assortment,
Yeah.
you need to really be focused on those inputs and outputs. And so
Yeah.
from an input perspective, you want to think about things that you want to achieve through the assortment. Like, how do we be first to market? Like, there's no reason why private label cannot be innovative and actually disruptive
Yes.
in that way. So,
Yes.
into first to market or thinking about innovation, solving a problem that a customer might have that maybe other products aren't solving today. Like, one of the
Yeah.
most simplest things that we did within the Strathwood patio program is, have you ever had to try to assemble something? The instructions and the tools that come in a box are not optimal. So we spent a lot of time thinking about solving the problem for the consumer to make it easy to assemble. So thinking about that innovation, whether it's packaging, function, new to market technology is one of the areas. Also,
That's let's dive deep a little bit on that because I think a lot of people when they think about private label, they think of cheap reproduction of somebody else's product.
yeah,
Um
yeah, no,
and
and there was a
yeah.
time when
And there
that
was a
was.
time, and I think the market still is a lot of that, like,
Yeah.
is that there is still a lot of, like, I don't wanna call it knockoff because it's not really knockoff,
Mhm.
but it's more of, like, copying what's been popular, and we're kinda try to duplicate that.
Yeah.
But you're talking about something that's entirely different,
Yeah.
which is saying, "Let's be first to market. Let's make something that nobody else is offering to our
Right.
consumers."
And let's
Yeah.
solve that problem. And, there is that really fine line, that firewall of being inspired by others and actually
Yes.
solving. And so
Yes.
you can start with being inspired, but then you want to really look at that product and say, is that fulfilling the consumer's need? Like, is that
Yeah.
something the consumer values? And I will say one of the tools that I had in my toolbox was the ramp and success of the 5-star review. Because
Oh.
I would go in and we could evaluate concerns that consumers had about products they were buying. And we're like, we're in control. We
Yes.
have an end-to-end ecosystem now where we're going to start at the manufacturer, that first raw material spec. We're going to build it into the consumer's area of concern or desire. And
Mhm.
a review can actually really help us understand where the pain points are, plus just own
Yeah.
personal consumption and you knowing that
Right.
it's hard to do something. So this
And
was super exciting.
yes, and at that time, it's really interesting that you bring that up because I actually forgotten about that because when the star reviews for product reviews first started coming out, I remember in WBR meetings in the big executive weekly leadership with all the big boys,
Yep.
we actually read reviews.
Yes.
If a product was not performing well,
Mhm.
I mean, we were so small and so
Yes.
focused, and we really read reviews, and this was a time where we actually created, I should find the people who built this. I remember we created the Anden cord,
Yes.
where customer service could take a product down
Mhm.
if they felt that there was too many customer concerns.
Yes.
And that was the first in the industry
Yes.
that customer service made the call,
Right.
not the
Yeah.
merchant team.
Yeah.
They said, "No, this isn't working. We're taking the product down."
Right. We're
Yes.
gonna put the customer first. It's
Yes,
just
we're putting
like
the customer first.
when you think
At this
about.
time,
Yeah.
yeah, this was great data that not a lot of other companies had,
Yeah.
was just like real life feedback.
Yeah. No, it was
Yeah.
so, so important. And then it would also like trigger things where that white space I talked about where, you could see, I wish it did this, or I wish
Yeah.
I also had this, right? So it became like this like data treasure for us as long as we, didn't fall too deep into it and we kept moving the progress forward with the assortment. So
Right.
that was a really big piece of it. Always value, always quality. I think another one that was really, really interesting is, and this is where the timing is so important, but to be able to carve out something exclusive that no other retailer has, and to be able
Yes.
to say, this is exclusive to
To
Amazon
Amazon.
is
Yes.
is huge, right? Because
Yes.
it creates the behavioral pattern with a consumer where they always have choices. I have choices every morning where I'm going to shop. But if
Yeah.
I've attached loyalty to an exclusive item at that particular retailer, I'll actually buy other things because I'm there. So you start to think of
Yes.
attachment rate that a
Yeah.
private label exclusive can actually drive. And it creates this halo effect in the rest
Yes.
of your product. Right.
Yes.
And it tends to be, it's that conversation early on where I said, when I approach a vendor and ask them to be part of the private label and continue to sell their own brand, my
Mhm.
to them was this is a halo effect. More eyeballs, more traction, more customers. A consumer could look at a private label item and still choose to go buy the national brand that they prefer, but it kind of gives that stickiness that's happening. So super important inputs. But then you think about the outputs of this. And this is where this discipline is where you don't want to over index on the outputs, be able to
Yes.
achieve the inputs because the inputs will drive the right result. But that
Yes.
is that consumer loyalty becomes the widget in the center of this. But
Yes.
you know, repeat orders, margin, profitability, price point. And I intentionally didn't mention earlier on that I built the assortment with the price point margin strategy. It's it's a win. It absolutely enhances the margin and the price point profitability, but you can't build a private label business on that alone. That can't be
On
the
price.
cornerstone of what you're going after. It needs to be an output of your discipline on the front end.
Yeah. So I caught this when we did our first 2 episodes when you talked about why you approached the Amazon executives, why you thought that this was important.
Mhm.
You never once focused on margin. You used it as a selling point to the executive organization to say, "Hey, we can make some money doing this."
Yeah.
But your primary motivation was value and selection.
Yes.
And that is what actually drove it forward, which was actually, 2 of Amazon's core tenants, which is, selection and value, or price and value is what they talk about.
Yeah.
And so you at no point were really going at this and saying, "Hey, we can just make a shit ton of money." You were going at this and saying, "We can add to our value to our customer. We can add more customers. We can add customer stickiness, more
Yeah.
loyalty, and make an all around create a win-win situation."
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
creates a legacy versus a
Yes.
one time, right?
Yeah.
Price gives you a one time transaction. And there's a difference between a transaction and having a ecosystem that's driving the engine for you. I have had the opportunity to work for flash sale companies. And one of the
Yes.
largest challenges in that is being able to not be just transactional because then you have no loyalty and no
Right.
repeat customers. You have to work every day to get those
Every single
customers
sale,
back.
yeah, is
It's
is
expensive.
based on price.
Yeah.
And, I talk about this a little bit when, Steve Haas and I are doing a series called The Math Behind the Magic, which is retail and e-commerce finance.
Yeah. Ooh.
And he talks about this exactly, and that if you become a price chaser,
Yeah.
it's a race to the bottom. In
Yeah.
today's e-commerce and retail environment, you can't do that anymore.
Mm-mm.
You have to stand on something
Yeah.
besides price.
You do.
Yeah.
It's anybody can give product away. It's what
Yes.
what you're building long
It's
term
the
that is going to
value.
be really
Yes.
important.
Yeah.
So
And that's why
don't.
people go back to value brands. They
Yeah.
become value, the classic Chevy, Ford, Dodge,
Yeah.
people are, become loyal to a brand for a variety of reasons. So that's why I wanted to dig on price a little bit, is
Yeah.
because that is not where you started.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And so, as you start to think about the scalability, The layering that began to happen
Yeah.
was, when we felt that we had successfully connected with the consumer on a product, then we quickly began to build out the assortment. Now, I will say one of
Mhm.
the most interesting things about this project was the fact that we were moving very, very fast.
Oh,
We
very
were in
fast.
a very traditional retail import environment. You could be 365 days out or several years out. We were leaning in and moving within months to be able to bring
Months.
these things together quickly. And so it
I
gave
remember
us
it
a
was
lot
like
of
6 weeks in some cases.
yeah,
Like, I remember very fast turnaround was like, "Hey, we're gonna start shipping out of, like, some obscure location in India."
Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
"Hope
You're
you
like,
got
oh,
something for me."
I need an ocean container. Where's our front
Yeah, we're like, "Oh,
order?
shit. Well, let me go find some ocean containers for you."
Oh, I love those days. Those were so
They
much fun.
were.
It was
They
so
were
fun.
crazy. It
Yeah.
was. It was
So
good time. And then there was all like the other thing that I remember was always getting not caught up on, but we would be like, "Oh no, all the other government agencies, like we're all the AAFES
yes,
and FIDA and all that,
yes,
FCA," and we were like, "Oh yeah."
yes.
It was
That
discovery.
balance of being naive and actually being like strategic,
Yeah.
super
It was
important.
very you had it mixed right, I will say. It was a potent cocktail, as they say.
Well,
Um
cocktail. I love that. It's
So yeah,
good.
so you're moving really fast. Like literally
Yeah.
you're working on like 6 weeks, like turnarounds, stuff's coming in, all new products, not something Amazon's ever imported.
Yeah.
And or in some cases not even ever sold.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
infrastructure really starts to come about, and I
Mhm.
early on found the right suite of suppliers, which I'm forever appreciative of the amazing journey that I went on with them. I think another
Mhm.
very important thing, and I would be remiss not to say, but this is the point where, as I started to build real traction and credibility with the project, I was able to actually start bringing on some team members. That was a
You
very
did, yes.
small team, but a
Yeah.
shout out to Catherine and Jessica and Misan and you and Tom and Karen, like, and Gina. I mean, we were literally the glue that was driving this machine, and
Yeah.
it allowed us to be very, very scrappy again because we were a
Yeah.
small team. We could move very quickly, make decisions very quickly. And I really did have an open decision window where I didn't have
Yeah.
to go up to anybody at that
No.
early stage for the
Yeah.
people, which is good.
Yeah.
Um,
So I want to touch on something real quickly because my experience is very similar to yours. And I think a lot of the initiatives that were built during these early Amazon days started with an individual.
yeah,
My business, the Amazon global business, and then ultimately building out Amazon imports and exports and was me. I was hired. That was it. I
yeah,
didn't have a team. It wasn't you and go hire 10 people. It was, we're going to hire you to do it. And if you can prove that this business model will work and that that we can actually do this repeatably scalable and the customer likes it, then we might give you some people, maybe.
yeah,
But the whole approach with Amazon at that time, FBA was the same way,
yeah,
where they put
absolutely.
one leader in
Marketplace.
charge
Yeah,
of it. You got I had one engineer and one leader, and that's what we had. I had Andrew,
yeah,
and FBA was the same way. It was Tom and Jason, and they built out FBA, and then as the business grew, you added people. And I wanna call that out because that was really that scrappy way, that pizza team approach that Amazon had at that time, where they tapped one really smart person and said, "Run as fast as you can, and then we'll see what we're gonna do
yeah.
with it."
And like
Versus
learn,
and
and make
learn. And
mistakes. Like the risk
yes,
tolerance was
was
never,
high.
never at the impact of the consumer, but the
Never.
tolerance was like once in a lifetime, kid. I'm like, I
Yes.
never have stepped into another opportunity where I've had that ability to learn fast and be smart
Yes.
about it. So
Yeah.
really,
I would agree. I agree too. Like they did. I made a joke in another meeting in that in my organization, it wasn't like they put the big guardrails around us. They just threw us all in a padded room and were like, just fucking go nuts. Like, don't kill each other. We don't want any liability,
Right.
but like you was just run as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
call that out because so many organizations start the opposite way where they're like, we got an initiative and we're going to spend a year building a team.
Yeah. Building. Building a concept that you haven't even proven yet, right? And
Right.
yeah, and I think the secret sauce to this though was speed still played such an important part of this because starting small and being scrappy still requires tremendous speed and agility because
Yeah.
once you start to see that there is momentum, you then have to flip it really quickly and build
Oh, yeah.
really fast.
You got to
And
scale.
yeah,
Yeah.
or close the door and say a good chapter in our history, right? Let's move on. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it was a really interesting time. So you went from a couple of SKUs, teak outdoor furniture, and so tell us how you got fully into cooking, kitchen, home decor. How far did you go? I can't even remember.
at the by the end of my tenure on this project, there was SKUs in every home category, home houseware category,
Yep.
which is really exciting. And so again, it was like thinking about collections and assortments and white space and value and how do we be first to market. And so, beyond the patio furniture, we continued to double down into garden and outdoor. So we added
Yes.
decor and lighting and garden tools and, just continue to kind of fill that wish list for that consumer that was passionate, birding, all the things played
Yes.
so nicely into that space.
Kitchen.
And
Yeah.
then and then moved into home, starting in textiles, so sheets and rugs and bedding and blankets.
I had all it was
Oh,
Pins On, right?
yeah.
Was
Yeah.
the brand. I had all Pins On bedding, it was amazing. I was a huge fan, and this is when, like, Pottery Barn and Restoration Hardware and everybody was hitting with, like, luxury bedding.
Yeah.
Like, I think that maybe that's just when I
Well, no,
finally
it
just plugged
was. It
into
was
it.
a
Yeah, oh,
thing.
luxury bedding.
It
Like, if
was.
you weren't spending $600 on a set of sheets,
Oh, yeah.
you like,
And
why
you
bother?
couldn't
Sleep on
stop at the
plastic.
sheet. You needed
Yeah.
the duvet, you needed the throw
Oh, yeah, I
pillows,
had to
you
all
needed the
match.
blanket. Oh, yeah. No,
It
it
was
was mm,
tonal,
yeah,
yes. It was a
no,
thing.
it
It
was
really
a
did
thing.
explode then, like, those 2 companies really kinda bought that, like, bedroom decor, like,
Yeah.
front and center,
Yeah.
and you were really right there with it because I am, as we have established, a retailaholic. I shop all the time, and I loved your products, like, you hit it, like, they were top quality, if not better.
Well, you think about it, because I fell in love with some of the collections without a doubt. I still have, since 2009, I still have Strathwood patio furniture. The teak is exquisite. You oil it, you
Excellent.
sand it, you love it, but it was such a great value
It
and
was a
such
fraction of
beautiful
the cost.
quality. I s
Fraction.
I still have beautiful pins on bedding, just stunning,
Yes.
right down to the silly little decorative pillows.
Yeah,
And
I had them all. I
just
had the shams, the
yeah,
scams, the decorative pillows. Because you did the whole thing.
yeah,
I remember that, like, you did all of the decorative pillows, the whole kit and caboodle. It was beautiful.
and really, really good durable quality, so you got
It
that
really
that
was.
value proposition. We moved into kitchen, we started adding
Yeah.
all sorts of kitchen gadgets, and this is actually where we started to have some fun with some innovation and solving consumers' problems in the kitchen
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
we had some really great kitchen merchants on our team,
Yeah.
and they were, very in tune with customers, and so we started to fill white space with really unique products. We even got a
Yeah.
patent on a really unique magnetic cutting board. Um,
Oh,
I actually got one of the Amazon patent puzzle
oh, you have
pieces.
a puzzle piece. Yay.
So that was exciting. And then we moved into housewares and pet products and pet bedding
Yeah.
and leashes, and we started to dabble in a whole huge assortment of tabletop. So drinkware, wine glasses. I, I think right there that was the most interesting point, and I want to kind of like say this was a pivotal shift in the baseline beautiful assortment was there in the home, housework, home and garden space, but we needed to keep layering. We needed to keep thinking about
Yeah.
it. And stepping into tabletop, I realized that there was a really unique opportunity for us to think about a different type of assortment within our existing assortment. And had the pleasure, it's matter of fact, probably one of the first containers you helped us move was out of Austria. I struck a early day relationship with
No, I
yeah.
remember this.
and
Yes.
and so Georg was so open to exploring a new way of doing business in this space beyond his brand. And
Yeah.
at the same time, one of the big, like cool, hot, exciting trends happening in America was celebrity chefs. Like they were
Oh,
coming
yeah.
out of the woodwork. You had Rachel Ray and Paula Dean and Bobby Flay and Guy Fieri. I mean, everywhere you turn, there was a celebrity chef. And I felt like that could be that moment. Um,
Yeah.
and I remember my boss at the time said, "Jeff Bezos wants a celebrity chef, Kerry, go get one." I didn't know
Oh,
how to get a celebrity chef. How do you go get a celebrity chef? So once again, we built the rhythm of this core foundation, but I was ready to
yeah.
kind of like take it to the next level. And I learned a lot. I learned that, Food Network owned pretty much all of the celebrity contracts in
Yep.
this chef world. Um, I also, learned that Time Warner, I mean, a lot of places had a play. And, we were like the new kid on the block and
Oh,
not
this was
knowing.
way before Amazon Studio,
Yeah, no,
way before
yeah,
AWS, way before like, Walmart was still kicking our ass back then,
yeah,
like
yeah, and
yeah, yeah.
people had Martha Stewart, like, just doing
Oh, yeah.
everything for them, but all under locked contracts, so it was
Yeah,
not
it
like
was
I could
locked
just
down.
call and show up, although I did go to the Time Warner building unannounced and sit in the lobby for a couple days, so it wasn't beneath me to give it a try, uh, but out of just, like, sheer, like, I need to find a chef, I went to the fancy food show, and I just started walking the aisles. And every time there was a chef in that booth, I asked if they had a contract with somebody,
Right.
which of course they did. But so I made it
Yeah.
down to one last aisle, and there at the end of the hall, and if you're from the Seattle market, you'll know this
Yep.
James Beard Award winner. But um, there was Tom Douglas.
Douglas,
He's a
yeah.
Seattle local celebrity chef in his own right. Uh,
Yep.
and he was peddling his rubs, his salmon Tom Douglas rub,
Yes.
his
His
chicken,
love rubs, I think is
love,
what they were
love
called.
with love.
Love rubs.
Yes.
Yeah, yep,
And
yep.
and we hit off a conversation, and he said, "I'm not doing anything. Let's do something." And
Yeah,
so
I
we
remember this.
launched the Tom Douglas assortment under the
Yeah.
Pinzone brand. And
Yeah.
Georg Riedel was the very first. We launched his wine glass collection. We went on to add kitchen and tools and gadgets and table linens and dinnerware. I mean, it's
Everything.
extraordinary. We went to Japan to find his knives, which, by the way,
Yeah.
still today, he still sells those cutlery knives out of Japan.
Does he really?
Yeah, that we found together. So
Very
yeah.
awesome. Yes.
This kind of like began that next iteration of
Yep.
layering on top of Pinzon. You now had Tom Douglas
The
by
Tom Douglas
Pinzon. It
collection.
opened up a whole new arena. And that moment really caught the attention of the executive leadership.
It did.
I hosted a Tom Douglas launch event at the Benaroya Hall, and Tom was just extraordinary because his team brought in food for the whole Amazon corporate office at that
Yes.
event. And we served everything on the Tom Douglas collection of private label product. And he got up on
Yes.
stage and chefed and cut down a whole king salmon on stage. It was unbelievable. And I got to be his side.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. So it was pretty fabulous. But after that
Wow.
event, it was like all of a sudden
We
everyone
get it.
started to say there's something here. And hence kind of the introduction and the expansion into the Amazon Basic and starting to introduce electronic
Tools and
tools and how
electronics.
far can we go batteries? Like, where is
Yes.
the end game in this? And where's that
Yeah,
foundation?
that's it. So we are at time for episode 3, but I just want to recap. How long did it take you from meh, go do it, stop bothering us, to this Tom Douglas event where the light bulb finally came on? How many years was that?
2 years.
Holy shit.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you kidding me?
No, we moved fast.
24 months.
From
I literally
launch
just
from
don't make me do
launch
that in days.
from launch to
From
go.
from go,
Okay, so
run.
from go, I will give it a couple more years. I mean, I'll give it a couple years back. I would say probably 3 years
Okay.
because I had some back end in
You were doing it, you
2008.
were dabbling.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Thinking and
But from
process.
official, we're gonna let you try this,
Yeah.
to was
3
24
years.
months. 3 year. Okay, 3 years.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
phenomenally fast. Like, not you so you I just wanna frame this up. You built an entire business,
A
not
business
just a
within a business.
category.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just a category, not just a line, not just a name. You created an entire private label business, from outdoor furniture to batteries and everything in between, at Amazon.
Yes, I did.
And you did 80% of that in 3 years
With less than 10 people on my team.
with less than 10 people. I would say most of that you did with 2, if I
Yes.
recall
Yes.
correctly,
Yes.
with 2 direct reports.
Yes.
My team helping, of course,
Yep.
other people helping,
Yes.
but you
All of
really I remember for the most
Oh,
part,
yeah.
you had,
It
like,
was
2
it was
people.
Jessica and Catherine. That was it.
Yeah, it
Jessica
was scrappy.
Jessica Devine and Catherine, Wolf. That was it.
Yeah, and that was it, and
Yep.
you guys cranked it out.
Cranked it. We were
It was
beasts.
good
I
stuff.
loved it.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I am happy that I got to be a part of it. Obviously, it left a mark on me because when I started this podcast, I reached out to you because this is an amazing story.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to wrap up for today, and we are going to come back with episode 4, and we are gonna talk about how what Kerry built lives on today, and how you continue to see the legacy of this not only in Amazon but across the whole e-commerce industry.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
we will talk again soon.
Thank you, Kim.